What's up, guys, and welcome back to my channel. Thank you for stopping by the channel today. Let's just go ahead and jump right into it because I want to share with you some things that I am learning. So let's just come right here to verse 39. And it shall come to pass that he that feareth me shall be looking forth for the great day of the Lord to come, even for the signs of the coming of the Son of Man. And they shall see signs and wonders, for they shall be shown forth in the heavens above and in the earth beneath. And they shall behold blood and fire and vapors of smoke. And before the day of the Lord shall come, the sun shall be darkened, and the moon be turned into blood, and the stars fall from heaven, and the remnant shall be gathered unto this place. And then they shall look for me, and behold, I will come, and they shall see me in the clouds of heaven, clothed with power and great glory, with all the holy angels. And he that watches not for me shall be cut off. Let me repeat that again. It says, he that watches not for me shall be cut off. So here you see, we're supposed to not only be looking at the signs of things that's happening in the earth, but we should also be looking at the signs of the heavens. So I want to come here and show you, well, here it says, let's just look at this word signs. When you click on this, it takes you to the precept. And unto you it shall be given to know the signs of the times and the signs of the coming of the Son of Man. And then you come here, let's look up the word wonders. And I will in Joel 2:30, and I will show wonders in the heavens and in the earth, blood and fire and pillars of smoke. So let's take a look at some of the signs that we're seeing on earth right now. Let's go here. So here you have hundreds of dead birds found in mystery death. And they're calling it a mystery, but to us, we know this is not a mystery. You guys down below, comment and tell me what prophecy this is. Also here, fish just dying all over the world. This here is in Australia. This is in the Caribbean rivers. This is in Florida, Indian River. And this is happening now, guys. Right? Then you have, what's going on in this one? You hear dead cows. What prophecy is this, guys? This is happening now. These are the signs in the earth. These are just some of the signs that's happening in the earth. Then here, in the neighborhood in Florida, they have been besieged by thousands of poisonous toads covering every square inch. See, I think that a lot of times people are thinking this is supposed to happen all worldwide at one time, but no, it's happening in different parts of the world. Here, you have a river in Russia turned red. St. Mary River turns blood red. What else? I think I had the locusts up here too. I wanted to show you guys that. But yeah, but even like some parts of Africa and the Middle East now, they're being swarmed with locusts. So these are some of the signs that are happening on the earth. Now let's take a look at some of the signs that are taking place in the heavens. All right. So last week when I talked to you guys, we talked about Comet Swan and we talked about Comet Atlas, and I showed you which constellations they were in. So here you still have Comet Swan, you have Comet Lemon, you have Comet Pan-STAR, Atlas, Nuosi. You have all these different comets that's out here. And one thing I want to just reiterate that though this may be interesting to look at, comets in the ancient worlds never symbolized something good. They always represented destruction, disaster, death. They were never something good, okay? So let's just come here. So I pulled this up and I've been tracking, like I said, I've been tracking the comets. So when I showed you last week, we had Comet Atlas and Swan, and they were in different places. You had one I think that was in Pisces, and you had one that was in Ursa Major. But as you see now, they're both, here's the sun right here, and they're both in the constellation of Perseus. Now, Perseus is in Aries. That represents the ram or the lamb slain, prepared for victory. So, Perseus, let me blow him up so you can see him. This is Perseus. And you have Swan and Atlas, both in Perseus, right? So, Perseus represents the breaker, delivering his redeemed, right? So in his left hand, he carries a head, which by perversion the Greeks call the head Medusa, being ignorant that its Hebrew root meant the trodden underfoot. It is also called Rosh Satan. It is Hebrew, the head of the adversary, and Al-Noah in Arabic, the subdued, and Al-Gol, the evil spirit. So what I found was very interesting about this particular star constellation, in about 69 hours, it changes from the fourth magnitude to the second magnitude. And when I'm talking about magnitudes, I'm just talking about the levels of its brightness. So it can go from the fourth magnitude, which is like one of the highest, to the second, which is like at the lowest. So with this particular one, during 4 hours of this period, it gradually diminishes in brightness, which it recovers in the succeeding 4 hours, and the remaining time it perseveres its greatest luster. Then it decreases again. And this is very symbolic because it's like our enemy, who like a roaring lion goeth about seeking whom he may devour. First Peter. Then changing into a subtle serpent in Genesis, and then changing again into an angel of light in Second Corinthians. So he's always transforming himself continually to devour, deceive, and to destroy. And that's what this one represents. This is the enemy. This is the head of the enemy. This is Perseus. And you see, he's already equipped in his war gear. Over here, he has his shield, and then he has his sword. In the sword, you have Atlas. Atlas is sitting right here on the sword. We talked about Atlas last week. Go back and watch that video, and I give in-depth information on this name and what it represented in Greek. Right? So here's Comet Atlas, and it's sitting on the sword. Now, the sword just represents Perseus smiting and breaking down the enemy. And then you have these little wings here, which means that he is coming very swiftly. Right? Now, this is, I can't even make this stuff up. I can't make this stuff up. This is what is in the constellation as of tonight, right? And then you have the sun, which is down here. It's in Taurus, which means he's coming quickly. The Redeemer is coming to establish his government, right? Now, when I went in to look and see where Atlas will be at the end of the month, Atlas will be right here in the same constellation with the sun. Swan will still be here in Perseus, but Atlas will be down here, right in the same constellation with the sun. Now, one thing about the sun, it has a very strong magnetic force. So it does pull these comets in, but a lot of times what happens is when it pulls the comets in, they disintegrate because the heat from the sun is so powerful and so strong. But just by chance, there is a chance that one could actually, if it's big enough, could actually penetrate the sun, which would not be good for us here on Earth, right? So let's just take a look at some events in history that I wanted to show you guys. So these are some of the events, some of the things that's happening right now in the heavenlies. And we were told to look out for these things, to watch. for these things, okay? So here, let's go to Revelations 9, verse 2. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace. And the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. So that led me to do some digging, guys. And I wanted to see if there were events in history or in time that would match this prophecy, right? So here you have in 535, 536 AD, this super explosive volcano darkened the sun, producing sudden global climate changes and causing catastrophes. Did it cause the Dark Ages? So I'm going to read a little bit about it just to give you some information. There was a sign from the sun, the likes of which had never been reported before. The sun became dark, and its darkness lasted for about 18 months. Each day is shone for about 4 hours, and still this light was only a feeble shadow. Everyone declared that the sun would never recover its full light again. Thus, the 535 through 536 interval began with significant solar darkening and a sudden, significant worldwide temperature decline. Floods and droughts, crop failures, plagues, and famines followed this global cooling of the climate. Trees, the world, all the trees over the world just stopped growing. Here you also had the bubonic plague that came out due to the colder temperatures, and the plague actually massively reduced populations. Then there was some talk about trying to determine whether this was caused by a volcanic eruption or was it actually caused by a comet. So it is believed that this was caused by a volcano eruption, which takes us back to that scripture. It says, from the bottomless pit. So I wanted to show you some things about this. So here also during the same time, you have the same reference. The sun became dark, and its darkness lasted 18 months. They weren't able to get fruits. Fruits wouldn't grow. The drinking water was polluted at this time. Wine and beer were consumed in large quantities. In fact, they made lead pipes where most of like the rich of Europe were able to funnel in the wine through these pipes. But they didn't realize that since wine is so acidic, it leached the lead out into the bodies of the ruling class, and they started going crazy. Mercury was used for all manners of medical treatments, causing toxic poisoning. And then you have here, what I want to show you guys, the gates of hell. The gates of hell are various places on the surface of the world that have acquired a legendary reputation for being entrances to the underworld. Often they are found in regions of unusual geological activity, particularly volcanic areas, or sometimes at lakes, caves, or mountains. So it takes us back here. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. And in this article here, they're saying that the sun was darkened because of the volcanic eruptions. Leave your comments down below. Tell me what you guys think about this. I think it's really interesting. So here, let's go over to Revelations 9:19. For their power is in their mouth, and in their tails. For their tails were like unto serpents, and had heads, and with them they do hurt. So let's take a look at some other events in history. Some other things that happened. Sorry, guys. All right. Now, here's another event that happened around 2350 BC. And then you have some other events that happened that was a part of the Greek Dark Ages, right? And so you had some people, they saw some strange sights in the sky, which had never been seen before. And a lot of like the European and Chinese observers described at this time that in the sky it looked like dragons in the sky. Let me say it again. When they looked up in the sky, it looked like dragons in the sky, but they were actually comets. And they're not talking about comets that were intact, like comets that were like a large stone. They were talking about comets that had disintegrated. Now, remember, I told you when they get closer to the sun sometime, they disintegrate, right? And so they were like small pieces, and these would throw up dust that would envelope the world and dim our view of the sun and the skies. So these are some of the things that have already been seen, right? These have already been seen. Then I was reading here in the Colburn text, and I'm just going to share with you what I came across. I thought this was just really, really interesting. So it's called the destruction and recreation. This is actually the destruction like during the flood. Now remember, the Chinese and the Europeans, when they looked up, they saw what they thought looked like a dragon. And so here, this is during the flood. At the time of the great destruction of earth, God caused a dragon from out of heaven to come and encompass her about. The dragon was frightful to behold. It lashed its tail, it breathed out fire and hot coals, and a great catastrophe was inflicted upon mankind. The body of the dragon was wreathed in a cold, bright light, and beneath on the belly was a ruddy hued glow, while behind it trailed a flowing tail of smoke. It spewed out cinders and hot stones, and its breath was foul and stenchful, poisoning the nostrils of men. Its passage caused great thunderings and lightnings to rend the darkened sky, all heaven and earth being made hot. The seas were loosened from their cradles and rose up, pouring across the land. There was an awful shrilling, trumpeting, which outpowered even the howling of the unleashed winds. Men stricken with terror went mad at the awful sight in the heavens. They were loosed from their senses and dashed about, crazed, not knowing what they did. The breath was the, the breath was sucked from their bodies, and they were burnt with a strange ash. Now, I find this very interesting because they saw what looked to them as dragons in the sky. And here, the Corbin is actually describing the time of the flood and what happened, right? Now, remind you now, let's take a look here. These are comets, right? Take a look at this. What does that look like to you guys? This is the head, and this would be the tail, right? Let's take a look at this one. These are some ancient drawings of comets. See? Let me pull them up. Look at this one, right? So when these people looked up, this is what they saw. And it looked like dragons to them. You can see here some of the pictures. Now you know where some of your favorite movie characters come from. See, you guys, they know all this stuff and they put it in movies. They put it in movies, so when you're hearing these things now, you think like some of this stuff can never happen because it's like fictional, and that's a trap. That was by design, right? That was by design because when you come here, it says, "For their power is in their mouth and in their tails. For their tails were like unto serpents and had heads, and with them they do hurt." Right? Then I came here. Hold on. Now, this picture of Daniel and the statue, Now it's making a lot of sense to us now, right? Because this rock comes out of nowhere, breaks up the last empire, right? Now we know what the rock represents, but just from me showing you all these things, this makes a lot of sense now. This is making a whole lot of sense now. Then I ran across someone sent me this today, that the space mission, which is they're having a space mission on what is it, May 27th, and they're going up, and the name of the mission is called Dragon Mission. It is called Dragon Mission. I find this very, very interesting. So once again, guys, you know, I'm going to say to you today that the enemy will lullaby us into a false sense of security and make us think that we have all this time in the world to tighten up, right? When all the signs, everything is here. All the signs are happening. They're happening. It's right at the door. It's right at the door. And we are called in this time to be looking, because he says here, and he that watches not for me shall be cut off. Right? So, you guys, leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think about the information I presented today. Maybe you have some insight, and then that you can share down below. Um, of what you may even have some more scriptures that can support some of this. Leave your comments down below, guys. I'm preparing another lesson for you on the sun, because the sun is doing a lot of strange things right now. And I can't wait to share that information with you guys. Anyway, guys, have a great day. Thank you for coming to the channel, and see you next time.